if you ask anybody who works at FEEST, like, why FEEST? 9 times out of 10, the answer is going to be because I love working with young people and because young people are the future and they're inspiring and they're so smart and like smarter than most of us, honestly. And I will stand by that for the rest of my life because it's the truth.
This is Hourglass, the podcast for United Way of King County in Seattle. Coming up, a conversation on youth advocacy and activism featuring FEEST, a Seattle-based organization that trains young people of color and working-class youth to organize for systemic change in their schools. United Way is proud to fund FEAST and spotlight its work to build young leaders who prioritize equity and address injustice. We will also hear about an upcoming Conversations for Change event and a local volunteer opportunity. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for tuning in. A few years ago, a group of Seattle area high school students pondered aloud their school lunch options and concluded that the food was, well, kind of yucky. Bringing food from home, however, wasn't always an option. Going off campus for lunch wasn't ideal. So the students reached out to West Seattle-based nonprofit organization FEAST, which stands for Food Empowerment Education Sustainability Team. FEAST was launched in 2008 as part of the King County Food and Fitness Initiative, a community and policy-driven approach to reversing health inequities in some of Seattle's lowest income and most diverse neighborhoods. FEAST trains young people of color and working-class youth to organize for systemic change in their schools. FEAST began with weekly dinners at the Youngstown Cultural Arts Center in Delridge. FEAST said that its weekly dinners program was subsequently replicated in cities such as Oakland, New Orleans, and Detroit. That success led FEAST to expand its work into 2 West Seattle high schools, Chief Sealth International and Evergreen. Currently, FEAST works with students at 5 local high schools, and its staff includes student organizers from those schools. After the students seeking better school lunch options reached out to FEAST, the organization cultivated relationships with school officials in local districts, who subsequently consulted FEAST on ways to improve meals. And that led to school lunch menus created by students that included culturally specific foods such as pho and banh mi. FEAST said that the changes began in the Highline School District and were subsequently implemented in Seattle School District. It is just one example of how FEAST has helped improve students' well-being in schools. In 2018, FEAST designed a snack program with free fruits and protein snacks at Chief Sealth High School. It has also partnered with the City of Seattle's Office of Sustainability Environment to install water bottle filling stations at Chief Sealth and Rainier Beach High Schools. And in 2020, FEAST ventured beyond its food advocacy work and partnered with other local youth organizations in a successful campaign to remove police from Seattle public schools. Today, FEAST is not only addressing food justice, but is advancing holistic wellness in schools by connecting mental health and restorative justice to its ongoing programs. FEAST's work is a testament to the fact that in King County, the spirit of advocacy and activism among our youth is alive and well. Our young people, from all walks of life, all races, all genders and backgrounds, truly believe that their voices can change their environments. We at United Way of King County are proud to amplify their voices and fund their efforts. FEAST is a member of the Racial Equity Coalition, a United Way-sponsored group of nonprofit organizations run by and serving communities of color. The cornerstone of the Racial Equity Coalition are after-school programs that celebrate youth's cultural identities and equip them with the tools to stay engaged in school. Recently, Hourglass sat down with Devin Rogers, FEAST Communications and Development Manager, to discuss topics such as the group's past and current work and ways local young people can get involved with FEAST. Here's what Devin had to say.
What we do at our core is that we train young people to have skills to organize in their communities. And, that can be kind of like nebulous in some ways. Like, what does that mean? What's an organizing skill?
Right.
But what it really means to us is that we're teaching students how to build relationships with the people who have power.
Okay.
And we're teaching them how to navigate those systems and how to like go to decision makers, go to like district leaders, school board members, teachers, admin staff. And we're teaching them how to essentially like build those relationships with folks. We're teaching them how to analyze the systems of power that are impacting their own lives. And then from there, we kind of like decide how our campaign direction is going to go.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the makeup of FEAST. What age group are you working with? What are some of the requirements for being a part of it?
Yeah, so we work with high schoolers. I think the age range there is 14 to 18. We have about 40-ish students in our program across 5 high schools. And so each high school has like 5 to 10 students in each team.
Good.
Requirements for being a part of FEAST is that you go to high school. If you're on, I think we have some kind of like, there's a lot of students who do like school sports and like maybe running start. And so when I first joined FEAST, it was really difficult for us to navigate that. We were like, if you're in a school sport, you probably can't join FEAST. But we've shifted a little bit to instead say like, if you're on campus at least like 50% or more of the time, what's going on at your own school. You are connected with your peers. But that's really the basic requirements, that you're a high school student and you're on campus and you're experiencing like your school life, your day-to-day life. And so our students range in so many different, like everyone in our schools are so diverse and we have so many different like walks of life that come into FEAST. Majority of our students are students of color.
So how does it work on these campuses? I mean, is FEAST like a group that meets every week or every?
Yeah. So before lockdown and the pandemic, we used to have weekly school dinners, and we had 2 kind of teams. So we had our like school dinner team, and then we had like our campaign team, and they both worked really closely together. So before the pandemic, we used to meet every week at our school sites, and we would have a recipe that we would cook together. Maybe our students would bring a recipe, and we would all like learn different kind of like cooking skills and share stories about like where this recipe came from. And then the campaign team would work on more of like the policy kind of aspect of that. Since lockdown has happened, our work has shifted. And so we had to shift online. And so when we shifted online, we couldn't obviously cook in schools anymore. And so we had to kind of refocus. And our students were like, well, if we can't focus on this, like this is something else that's important to me. Restorative justice was one of those things. And mental health was another huge thing that our students really cared about, which is why currently right now our students are working on a mental health campaign.
Mental health, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
And right now in the day-to-day, we're in a hybrid model. And so our staff will go to schools once a week. We have meetings once a week, but depending on like COVID surge levels and other kind of factors that impact like meeting in person, will also shift to meeting online.
Okay. So tell me a little bit about what's been going on from the start of the 2025 calendar.
Yes. Holistically, as an organization, we're hiring for a couple of new roles. And so we're bringing in a food access manager. For folks who are familiar with FEAST, our roots are in food justice, and we're hiring a new food access manager, and their role is going to be really specific on engaging our school communities with all things food justice related. And so we're hiring someone new, which is very exciting. We're also hiring a new organizing director. Those roles we've finished the hiring process. We're going to have some new folks in on the team. On the student school side, we're in the middle of our hiring process for the next school year. And so every year we welcome in students to come and join our program. And so we've opened up applications. Our current students are like really involved in that process. Like I was at Chief Self last week. We were making TikToks to like promote the hiring.
Really? Oh, wow.
It was very fun. It was the first time we did that. And on a side note, our students are amazing and very creative. I didn't really have to do much. Like I had my cell phone, and they were just like, okay, Devin, get out the way. Like, here's what we're going to do. And so that's been happening. Our students have also, as always, just been deepening their political education since the 2024 presidential election. our students have had a lot of really intentional space to be with each other and to like process what this means for like them and their families.
Mm.
On a side note, that's also a very interesting thing. When we first processed it all together as a group, there were some students who were like, oh yeah, when Donald Trump was first elected, I was in elementary school, I think, because one of them said, and that really surprised me because time is a very fascinating thing. But our students have been really tapped into what is happening on the ground, what's going on inside of like the classroom. They've also been really deepening their understanding of disability justice. And so that's something that I think is really special and beautiful because disability justice can be one of those things that is like not talked about.
Right.
And so they're working through that, and like, you know, every meeting they're like, oh, you know, everyone remember to put your masks on. Like, this is why we do this. Let's talk about our access needs. And yeah, those are some of the things that have been happening since the beginning of the school year started.
When you think about, and I always heard people in the business sector sometimes say, we need to decide in a given moment, stop, start, continue. Some of the things that we need to stop, some of the things that we need to start, some things we need to continue. How much have you gone through that at FEEST, and which, if either of those three or all of those three, have you engaged in?
We're starting to engage our community a little bit differently, and we're going to be having some multi-generational events that aren't just like youth-centered, but like bring in all of our community members. We're continuing to strengthen not just our student skills, but also our skills as an organization to continue to fight for change. And then we're stopping the usual kind of cycle of just like, this is what we look like in an organization. So
now I think about your name, FEEST.
Yeah.
And then I go on your website and I'm always looking at this, making justice irresistibly delicious.
Yes. I think food is central to everything that we do at FEEST. Even today, you know, like, yeah, I couldn't prepare snacks for you, but I at least was able to give you some juice or some water. We gather around food. Everything that we do at FEEST is central to like the food and like the art of gathering, essentially. On a more policy and like systems change side, there's a fresh fruits and veggie program that we're doing right now inside of Rainier Beach, Chief South High School, and I think also Franklin. I think it's being piloted at Rainier Beach and Chief South right now. We're collaborating with the city of Seattle, and we have revamped a project that we did pre-COVID, which was basically like our snack distribution, fresh fruits and snack distribution program. And so what that looks like right now is like in the beginning of the year in January, our students and our staff got together with the city of Seattle, folks at the city, and they started having listening sessions, and then they branched out and they started asking their peers, like, okay, like what kind of fresh fruits and veggies do you want on campus? Like what are the barriers that you are facing that like impacts your ability to get these types of like, you know, nourishing fruits and vegetables? And from there, they started to plan basically what it would look like to distribute fresh fruits and vegetables on campus. And so right now, after all that work, after all these months of them working on that, they've started to distribute fruits and vegetables. I actually have some really cute pictures in my phone. They were at Chief South yesterday, and they distributed a bunch of fruits and veggies to their classmates and their high school classmates, and, you know, staff and admin, of course, too. So that's something that was really years in the making. It was something that we piloted in like 2019 in the Highline School District. We got a really great response there. And in this new year, it's been, we're calling it a new project, but it's really like a remix of something that we've done before, which I think is really cool. Something else that we've been working on in the background, not necessarily public facing, is we were a part of the City of Seattle School Foods Working Group. I'm not getting the name right. Everyone who's listening knows what I'm talking about, though. The School Food Working Group, which convened a bunch of different organizations like FEAST, for example. The Why We Garden program was a part of it. Nurturing Roots Farm. There was a bunch of different, basically community-led organizations that for the last few years have been having sessions with the city to present recommendations for how to make school food and school lunch in Seattle better. And so if you go check out our Instagram, we're doing a series right now with the Office of OSC that's kind of like explaining what all those things are that we're changing and that are being upgraded. Like the central kitchen in Seattle Public Schools has been upgraded, and now it can like support scratch cooking and is also like a much like more robust facility than it was before. We're also partnering with local farms. We're also doing a lot of work with school lunch staff and so many more things. And so FEEST is collaborating with OSC right now to kind of share that information with our community, because it's the same kind of thing that we see. Like when it's really insular, sometimes it's hard to tell that story, or people just don't know about it, quite frankly. You know, like I didn't know that the central kitchen had been upgraded so much until I started working on this project. And so those are some of the more tangible, like food justice related things that we have been doing. Food is at the center of everything that we do. It's how our communities come together. Like breaking bread is like, I think, the foundation of like every good community meeting, like every organizing, like venture. Like people need to eat. Mm-hmm. We need to nourish ourselves. But more tangibly, our students are like distributing fresh fruits and vegetables. Our staff is working on like the policy level to like make institutional changes like district wide. Mm-hmm. And that's something that we've been working on for years in the background.
When you look at the work that you've done here and you've seen young people come through, what examples did you have of something, someone where you say, you know what, that's why I do this work?
Oh, wow. So many examples. That's a great question. First thought, best thought, something that I'm really proud of. And one of the reasons why I do this work is because I'm currently mentoring somebody who is a part of the FEAST team who, her name is Hina. And Hina was a young person in our program. Hina's older sister was a part of FEAST when Hina was like in middle school, I think. And so when Hina was in middle school, she started like crashing FEAST meetings, coming with her sister. And then when she got into high school, she was in FEAST like all years of her high school career. And then she graduated high school, and I knew Hina through previous organizing work that I had done. And I invited Hina to come join FEAST to be one of our co-facilitators for our summer program that we host that is arts and storytelling based. And now Hina's an intern, and she's at the University of Washington right now getting her degree in informatics. And so she's our technical project intern. And she was able to become an intern of ours because she has so many skills. She's already deeply connected with our community. She already knows what FEAST is about. She actually was involved in our strategic planning process that I had mentioned before she graduated high school in 2021. She was a part of that process that helped FEAST focus in on our direction as the COVID-19 pandemic began. And that's why I do this.
Awesome.
Like, I obviously didn't know Hina when she was in middle school or when she was a high schooler at FEAST, but being able to like know her, build community with her, and then see her trajectory and see how like she was once a young person in our program and now she is like leading like programming at our organization. I think that's really powerful. And that like I can tell a very similar story about myself. You know, like I started organizing as a young person in a youth-led organization, and now I'm here mentoring other young people. And so that's just one example. I have so many different, I can tell you so many different examples of how these young people like bring so much light into all of our lives. Like if you ask anybody who works at FEAST, like why FEAST, 9 times out of 10, the answer is going to be because I love working with young people and because young people are the future and they're inspiring and they're so smart and like smarter than most of us, honestly. And I will stand by that for the rest of my life because it's the truth.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So lastly, if I'm a young person, I'm listening to this, I want to get involved. What do I do?
Hello, young people listening. You can go to feestseattle.org. That's FEEST Seattle.org. You can click on the Take Action button. And if you click on the Take Action button on our website, you should see an application link to apply to be a student organizer. If going to our website is a little too complicated, we also have it on our Instagram. That's probably more accessible to you. We're hiring right now. We work inside of 5 high schools. So if you're at Chief South, Rainier Beach, Franklin, Tyee, or Evergreen, come through. If you want to learn about food justice, if you want to learn about mental health, if you want to learn about organizing, community organizing, that's what we do. We have an amazing staff of amazing people who come from so many different walks of life, but all of us are community organizers and all of us care about the future. And so if you want to get involved, come apply. If you want to hang out and make art with me this summer, we have summer stories. That application is due June 1st. So if you just want to come and learn about social justice and make art together, we can do that. You don't have to be a part of those 5 high schools to be a part of Summer Stories. But if you want to be in our student organizer program for the year, just come through and apply. Or, follow us on Instagram, come up to us when we're tabling at your schools. We can also just be friends. But yeah, that's how you can get involved as a young person.
Awesome. Devin Rogers, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Like Devin said, for more information on FEEST, log on to feestseattle.org. That's FEESTSEATLE.org. How do we build generational wealth in communities that have been historically excluded from it? Join us for the United Way of King County event, Conversations for Change, Building Generational Wealth, on June 12th at Wing Luke Museum in Seattle at 5:30 p.m. The event will feature a panel discussion that explores the racial wealth gap and offers ways to close it. For more information, log on to uwkc.org/events. Interested in a volunteer opportunity? Sound Generations is seeking volunteers to join its Meals on Wheels program. Located in Seattle, Sound Generations promotes the social, emotional, and physical well-being of older adults through a network of community connections and services. Sound Generations Meals on Wheels program provides well-balanced, nutritious, ready-to-eat meals each week, with home delivery and specialized options like vegetarian and kosher meals. As a Meals on Wheels volunteer, you'll be part of a team that delivers meals to homebound seniors. Sound Generations is looking for drivers and meat packers to support deliveries in SeaTac. For more information, log on to soundgenerations.org. At United Way of King County, we are working side by side with communities to build an equitable future for everyone. Hourglass United Way is a podcast that highlights how we and our partners spend time making a difference in our communities. Our work is made possible by the generous donations from people like you. Please send comments and suggestions about our podcast to hourglassunitedway@gmail.com. To learn more about our work or to support United Way, log on to uwkc.org. I'm your host, Joe Burris. Thanks for listening. Until next time.